in Mississippi. Fucking well. What in the actual fuck is going on down in Mississippi? So listen, if you got a little time, let me walk you through this shit, because this shit's fucking wild. I try to stay out of it till you get all the details, but since they're circling the fucking wagons and refusing to help authorities, I'm gonna tell you what I think's going on. This picture right here, you will see Nolan and 4 of his friends that went on a boat party on July 4th. Only 4 of them returned without Nolan. His cell phone back to his mother. What the fuck? Claiming they haven't seen him since 3 p.m. These people right here remember seeing them partying and throwing beer cans and causing a ruckus and starting fights all the way up until 7:30 p.m. You want me to believe a friend of yours that you've known for years goes missing in Mississippi for hours and hours and hours, and you not only don't look for him, but then you go home without him, without calling the cops, and you just bring his phone back to his fucking mom? And then there's this video right here. Did you hear it? There is clearly an argument going on shore where they clearly say, fuck you, motherfucker, you're not getting on the boat. Even though they didn't have time to call the police or start an investigation right away, they had plenty of time to deactivate all their fucking social media. Not to mention, these little fuckers' parents are judges, doctors, and other high-ranking members of the community. Let me see if I can play out what exactly fucking happened here. Noah goes out on a boat with 4 of his friends. There is some sort of argument on shore. If a fight ensued, took him back out on the boat. I allegedly believe they did something to him. Then came back to the same spot they were in, partied all the way past 7:30 p.m. Have witnesses saying you were there, remember. Then brought his belongings back to his fucking mom. Look, I hope I'm fucking wrong here, but things aren't adding up. None of it makes fucking sense. None of it adds up to something benign happened. We all need to be saying his fucking name. Even if they didn't, fuck each and every one of them for abandoning their friend, not even searching for him so that they could drink and party the rest of July 4th away. Be careful who you choose for friends. I promise you, the only way a snake can fucking bite you is if it's right fucking next to you. Rest in peace, Nolan. Nolan fucking Wells.
Significantly is Attorney Ben Crump just released the preliminary details from the independent autopsy that was conducted on the body of Nolan Wells, and here's what you need to know. First, and I think most significantly, is they did not get the body fully whole intact. There were pieces of his body, and particularly his throat and vocal area, that were not a part of the body when the medical examiner in DC was able to review it. They were very clear to say, we don't know why, so they're not making any judgments about as to why, but they did say it's unusual for that to happen. The second most important detail is there is evidence of him being struck in the back of the head, a red discoloration in the back of Nolan Wells' head, and the medical examiner was able to say that the manner of death is undetermined. They're still not able to say what it was that took the life of Nolan Wells. I have something to say about this, and I think this is very, very important. Number one, this family deserves justice and they deserve the truth. And this is really just a pursuit of justice and truth. This is not about trying to convict people. This is not about trying to paint people in a bad light. It's simply about holding whoever's responsible accountable for this, if anyone, and finding out the truth. If you lost an 18-year-old child, you should understand how important it would be to know the truth and the details of what would happen to your loved one. The other thing is, there have been an unbelievable amount of racists that come forward, even in the comments of my videos. And they all want to say, Nolan Wells died, why are you guys going after these poor, innocent white kids? And to that I will say, whenever you are rushing to judgment to say that these white kids are innocent, without having any information or details about what exactly happened or what the autopsy report would reveal, you are outing yourself as a racist, and you need to just get clarity and I hope healing. One of the reasons why I created this platform all those years ago is because I want people to be the most mentally healthy, that they can possibly be. And if there's one thing I could possibly do in this world that I would love to do, it would be to eradicate racism. Now, I'm not delusional enough to think that I'm ever going to be able to accomplish that goal, but that's not going to stop me from trying. And one of the most important aspects of eliminating racism is to call it out when I see it. There is no reason whatsoever that people should be so biased that without any data, they're just going to say that this young man drowned and then make jokes about it, like you can't arrest water or you can't investigate the ocean, trying to imply that they just know wholeheartedly that this young man drowned. And the simple truth is, you don't know. And the only thing that is causing you to say those things are your biases against people of color and your racist and bigoted views. The family deserves justice, and that's all this is about. And according to the medical examiner, the cause of death is still undetermined because there was information not included with the body, with body parts literally missing to remove their ability to assess the entire circumstances. And there are still circumstances that are suspicious, like a discoloration, bruising to the back of the head. I'll keep you updated as I continue to learn more.
Dr. Roger Mitchell said that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant. He also talked about, Mr. Williams, if you can, just the fact that as it's common practice, he was missing his throat when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And he thinks that's significant to know at autopsy. The reason he says he would hold it back when he was medical examiner because
imagine waiting weeks for answers after losing someone you love. Then the autopsy report finally arrives. But instead of giving your family closure, it leaves you with even more questions. That's exactly where the family of 18-year-old Nolan Wells says they now find themselves. The independent autopsy results have finally been released, and instead of ending the mystery surrounding Nolan Wells' death, they have reignited a nationwide debate. What did the autopsy actually reveal? What did it not reveal? And why is this case now heading to a grand jury? Today, we're breaking down the findings, separating confirmed facts from speculation, and looking at why so many people are still demanding answers. Let's get into it. The biggest headline is this: the independent forensic pathologist could not determine either the cause of the manner of Nolan Wells' death. In medical terms, both were listed as undetermined, pending further investigation. That does not mean investigators concluded the crime occurred, but it also does not mean investigators concluded that this was simply an accident. Instead, the report says there isn't enough evidence at this stage to reach a definitive conclusion. Advanced decomposition limited what the independent pathologist could determine, and some structures that are commonly retained for additional testing during an official autopsy were not available during the family's examination. Listen to some of the clips regarding this.
I don't believe he drowned. I believe he was killed. But I'm a judge that has to weigh all the evidence. Preliminarily, that's what I see. You don't leave your friend on an island, seeing that he has left his phone, and not at least go back. You came there with him. You left him there, you say, because he wanted to stay. But you notice that he's left his phone. How was he going to get home in the first place? Wouldn't he need his phone in order to call his transportation? Or they should have known some of that. He would have said, I'm going to get home by such and such way. Hey man, I'm not coming. Y'all go ahead. I got a young lady. Okay, man. Is she going to bring you home? How you going to get home? You don't ask any of those questions? So you must have asked those questions. If you didn't, that's more evidence that I believe contributed to the reasonable suspicion. So I'm with the prosecutor. How about that so far? So you won't have to say that the judge is making conclusions without getting the evidence. The prosecutor has found enough evidence to create a reasonable suspicion that a crime occurred. And now they're going to interview everybody and come up with some answers on whether to indict. So I'm there with the prosecutor so far. Take it to the grand jury. Now I have to wait until what the grand jury comes back with before I support any charge or any lack of charges. I don't believe he drowned. I believe he was killed.
One reason this report has generated so much attention is because it answers very few of the public's best questions. According to the family's attorney and independent pathologist, no major fractures were identified, no deep traumatic injuries were identified. There was an area of red discoloration at the back of the head that the pathologist said was inconclusive. Because of the condition of the body and the limits of the examination, the pathologist said non-accidental causes could not be ruled out, but neither could accidental causes. That distinction is important. An undetermined finding is not the same thing as declaring homicide. It is also not the same thing as declaring accidental drowning. The report leaves both possibilities open while investigators continue gathering evidence. The questions remain that even after the autopsy, several key questions are unanswered. How did Nolan end up in the water? Did he enter the water voluntarily? Was someone with him during his final moments? What do witnesses' statements, phone records, digital evidence, and toxicology ultimately show? These are the questions investigators are still trying to answer. The family attorney has also emphasized that the official state autopsy and toxicology reports have not yet been fully released, meaning the overall investigation is still evolving. Watch.
Nolan Wells was murdered, but people are afraid to say that. You can't tell me that he wants to stay on a fucking island 10 miles off the coast without his phone or wallet, and his friends are like, "Oh, he just wanted to stay there." Really? How does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Okay? Especially, it just hurts because I have a lot of black people that I'm close to in my life, and to see how like a young black man's life was just thrown out and there was no regard for it at all, and you have media talking about how he chose to stay out there's no foul play suspected. When are black people going to get the same treatment and the same justice that white people do? It's absurd, and it happens again and again, and nobody does anything about it. It just keeps happening. Okay? Say his name. Nolan Wells. Say his name. Nolan Wells was murdered, but people are afraid to
teach your kids, especially your kids that are hanging out with rich white kids. That is not good. You gotta stop letting them hang out with rich white kids. This Nolan Wells situation never should have happened. The parents of Nolan Wells should have known better than to let him hang out with these kids. I have an older son. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault, but I'm just saying it happens all the time. My older son is half black. He looked more black than he did half. But he got into a similar situation. He was fighting with a bunch of rich kids in North Atlanta, the North Atlanta suburbs, the richest neighborhood in Cherokee County, Georgia. And he was fighting with a bunch of boys over a girl. And lucky for him, he didn't wind up dead. He just wound up locked up for a while. But it could have wound up with him being killed. And, we as parents, we have to do a better job in informing our children about who they should and shouldn't hang out with, because matters. The color of your skin matters, especially when you're hanging out with a bunch of rich kids that have, doctors and lawyers and judges as parents. You know that your kid is going to either wind up locked up or dead. So my heart goes out to Nolan Wells' family. I really hate that it happened to him, but you gotta protect your children, because white people will kill your children at the drop of a hat. That's just the way it is, especially these entitled little rich white kids.
While the case is gaining national attention, this case has become much bigger than one investigation. It has sparked nationwide conversation about trust, transparency, and whether every unexplained death receives the same level of scrutiny. Some people believe Nolan Well death deserves a deeper investigation because of unanswered questions surrounding the timeline. Others caution against jumping to conclusion before all the evidence is available. Those are two very different positions. Both can exist at the same time. You can believe investigators should thoroughly examine every possibility without assuming a particular conclusion before the evidence supports it. Another major development is that the case is expected to be presented to a grand jury. That does not automatically mean someone will be charged. A grand jury reviews evidence to determine whether criminal charges are appropriate or whether additional investigative steps are needed. Officials have said the process will remain confidential to protect the integrity of the investigation. For me, the most significant takeaway from the autopsy is not what it confirmed, it's what it could not confirm. The report did not provide a definitive medical explanation for Nolan's death. Instead, it highlighted the need for more investigation. That means the next chapter of this case will likely depend on more than medical findings alone. Investigators will have to consider witnesses' accounts, digital evidence, toxicology, timeline reconstruction, and any additional forensic information. The goal should be to find the truth. Whether that truth ultimately points to a tragic accident, negligence, or criminal conduct should be determined by evidence, not by internet speculation. Nolan Wells was only 18 years old, a son, a friend, a young man whose family expected him to come home after celebrating the 4th of July. Instead, they are still waiting for answers. The independent autopsy has not ended the story. If anything, it has opened another chapter. Now, the focus turns to the official investigation, the toxicology findings, the grand jury process, and any additional evidence that may emerge. We will continue following this case as new developments become public. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe for updates. And in the comments below, tell me this: what question do you believe investigators still need to answer before this can finally be understood? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.